Hi everyone, Josh here with Top Score Tutor. In this video, we're going to look at conjunctions and transitions. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I want you to learn to help you with conjunctions and transitions is to know the difference between words that indicate you're going in the same direction and words that indicate you're going to change direction. So of course, transition words transition you from one idea to the next idea. That's what transition words do. So by knowing if that transition word is going to indicate the author is going in a different direction or if the author is going in the same direction can help you with answer some of these questions and do process of elimination. This is not an exhaustive list right here on the screen, but it definitely is going to help you through process of elimination. So same direction. When the author wants to transition to a new idea that's in the same direction as the previous idea, these are some words. So the easiest simple example I use is if you were to finish my sentence, think of anything you want. Just say something. Finish my sentence. I like her and she has a nice smile. She has a lot of friends. I like her is positive. She has a nice smile is also positive. Because I had that word and indicated the same direction. I like her and you knew to go in the same direction as something positive. But what if I said, go ahead and finish my sentence. I like her, but you're going to say something negative. I started with something positive, but because I used the word but, we're changing directions. So the words you have here on the screen are all different kind of ways of saying and or but. So accordingly, for example, similarly, that's along the same lines. I'm staying in the same direction. But if I say nevertheless, however, regardless, I'm going to change directions. So let's look at some examples of some questions that would come up on this section. So how we want to do this one is we want to understand the idea before the transition word and understand the idea after the transition word. So take a second to read this and understand this sentence fully. And then when you're ready, press play. So the first idea is that public libraries have reduced funds, budget cuts. That's kind of what's going on here in the first thought before the transition word. Public libraries, they've experienced reductions due to cuts imposed at the governmental levels. Okay, that's the first idea. What's the idea after the transition word? Library staffing has been cut. Staff have been cut. So with this alone, would you say that the two ideas are related to each other, or are they changing the direction from one idea to the next? They're staying in the same direction, right? Public libraries, they've had their reduced funds and their budget cut. Now, staff have been cut. We're staying in the same direction. So we need a transition word that's going to continue in that direction. So words such as however, that's definitely not the answer because that's indicating a change in direction. Nevertheless, that's another example of changing direction. Nevertheless, he was really sick. However, he still went to school. He didn't study a lot. Nevertheless, he still got a good grade. So you see how those are opposing statements. Those are changing in direction. So that's why A and C is not a good answer because those are change direction. We need something in the same direction, at least to start there. So now that we've done process of elimination, which answer choice do you think would be the best answer? Definitely consequently fits here best and continues in the same direction and introduces the second idea as a continuation from the first idea. Public libraries, they reduced their funds and had budget cuts. Consequently, as a result, therefore, staff have been cut. So same direction, change direction is not the only type of transition word you're going to be faced with, but it can certainly help you answer some questions, or at the very least, eliminate wrong answer choices in other questions. So let's look at another one. Go ahead, press pause, see if you can do this one the exact same way that we just did. Understand and get the main idea summary of what comes before the transition word, what comes after the transition word, and then find the best word that would connect those two. And when you're ready, press play, and then we can continue on and compare notes. So we have the ways to reconfigure a building's lighting. What are some of the ways to reconfigure a building's lighting? We have full pane windows, to allow the greatest degree of sunlight. We have our transition word. Then we have light tubes. So which word do you think best fits in between full pane windows and light tubes? What's the best word that can go right in between there to introduce the idea from full pane windows to light tubes? The best transition word is alternatively. Another way to reconfigure a building's lighting structure besides full pane windows. So the ways to reconfigure a building's lighting, you could do full pane windows. Alternatively, another example would be light tubes. So that's why alternatively is the best. Words like thus is like as a result of something. And nevertheless is a complete change of direction, which you could say we're changing direction, I guess, from light tubes to full pane windows, but that's not the best way to transition from full pane windows to light tubes. Alternatively is like additional example, another example of a way to reconfigure a building's lighting besides full pane windows is alternatively. That would be the best fit there. Let's do one last one. Go ahead, press pause, see if you can come up with the right answer using the strategy that we've been doing, and then press play and we'll compare notes. So the first idea is how much things have changed. That's the first idea before the transition word. Then we have our transition word. And then the second idea after the transition word is in 1910, human character changed. So how much things have changed? In 1910, human character changed. Do we have same direction? Do we have a change of direction? What's kind of going on here? Well, definitely not a change of direction. That much we can figure out. So, however, that's definitely not the correct answer because however is changing direction. He was really sick. However, he went to school. So that's not right. Consequently is like saying as a result. So in 1910, human character change is not a result of how much things have changed. Those are both the same thing almost. One did not result from another, consequently, as a result. Nonetheless is also a change of direction as well. He didn't study. Nonetheless, he still got a good grade on the test. So A, C, and D are all examples of change direction. And choice B is the only one that's the same direction. In fact, it's like a continuation. How much things have changed. In fact, Virginia Woolf cited in her remark about 1910, human character change. So that's the best same direction there. So those are transition words. Definitely use the same direction, change direction to help do process of elimination, or at the very least, answer some questions as well. Apostrophes, moving on, super simple, bringing it back to 7th grade English class here. Apostrophes can be used for either possession or contraction. So let's look at some simple possession using apostrophe. So possession, looking at this first example, Peter's new car. Who did the car belong to? Peter. So because it's Peter's car, the car is possessed by Peter. Peter possesses the car, and Peter is a singular, so that's why you have apostrophe S. You'd have apostrophe S when it's singular possessive. Peter is one person, right? My sister's smartphone. So we have the possession. The smartphone belonged to my sister. So that's the possession. And then my sister is one person. So it's singular. So if it's singular possessive, it's apostrophe S. But then what if you have a plural noun? So the girls' room. Let me kind of put a line there to separate. The girls' room. Well, you still have the possession. Who did the room belong to? The girls. Well, if the girls are plural, if the noun is plural, then it's S apostrophe. So singular, the apostrophe goes before the S. Plural, the apostrophe goes after the S, and it's clearly demonstrated on the examples right here. The dog's barking. Who was barking? Who was doing the barking? Who did the barking belong to? The dogs. So there's the possession. And then you have multiple dogs, so it's S apostrophe. The apostrophe goes after the S. Imagine, like, since you have more than one person, it's bigger. If you have more people, it's bigger. So the apostrophe gets pushed because it's bigger and heavier. So it gets pushed to the outside because there's not enough room. That's kind of like the best way I would describe it. If you're using plural possession, the apostrophe gets pushed to the outside of the S because it's too much. There's not enough room. And then there's no need for an apostrophe for possessive pronouns. So his, hers, ours. You don't need apostrophes for possessive pronouns. So let's look at one example. Let's go to practice test 3, section 2, question number 4. All right, so what's the first thing that we do, guys? Compare the answer choices. So what's changing between the answer choices? The position of the apostrophe. So we know we're testing apostrophes. That's the only thing that's changing in this answer choice is apostrophe. Everything else is staying the same. Next, we're going to put brackets around the sentence in question just to make it easier for ourselves. So the body's biological clocks. Is there possession going on here? Does anything belong to the body? Yes, the biological clocks. The biological clocks belongs to the bodies. So if the biological clocks belong to the bodies, okay, so there's a possession there. So bodies needs the apostrophe for sure because something belongs to it. Now, is bodies singular or plural? In this sentence, is body singular or plural? It's singular. Bodies should be singular. Because in this sentence, they're referring to one body, or the circadian rhythms, which are controlled by the body's biological clocks. Your body, one body. They're not referring to multiple bodies. So because it's singular and there is possession shown, then we need the singular form of body, which is displayed in choice C. Choice A and B are incorrect because bodies is plural. And we need singular form of the bodies. So what's the main difference between choice C and D? Now that bodies has been the same for both of them, the difference is clocks. Clocks does not need an apostrophe in choice D. Nothing belongs to the clocks. And since nothing belongs to the clocks doesn't show any possession, therefore it does not need an apostrophe. An apostrophe is only for words where something belongs to it. So in this case, the biological clocks belongs to the singular body. So apostrophe S, biological clocks. Just another quick recap. The second thing that apostrophes can be used for is contraction. These are an example of contraction words that you have on your screen. It's just combining pronouns into shorter versions, basically two words into one, and you're going to separate it with apostrophes. So, for example, if you have it's spelled like that with the apostrophe, that just breaks out to it is. There breaks down to they are. Won't expands to will not, so on and so forth. It's just another way of writing it, but just to make sure you're using the correct form of the contraction, just read it out loud. If they use the word there spelled like that in a sentence, you should be able to read it in that sentence as they are, and it would still make sense. If they use the word you're in a sentence and it looks just like that, you should be able to read it as you are in that sentence and it will still make sense. If it doesn't make sense, then it's not the correct usage of the contraction. So when in doubt, just say it out loud. So that's it for this video. We looked at transition words and we also looked at apostrophes. So go ahead and proceed to the next video.